Hey, what's going on everyone? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another YouTube video. And today we're taking a look at another build for the GMs. Well, not specifically for the GMs, but this is where I've been using it most of the time. This build is a bit more of a support build. It's about spamming supers, generating lots of orbs, staying alive and invisible for most of the GM. I'm just ad clearing like a madman. That's pretty much what the build is about, so if that interests you, then this is a build that you want to pay attention to. But let's not waste any more time, let's get into the build. Alright, so let's get started, and the very first thing we want to take a look at is our super. We're running Shadow Shot Deadfall. This is pretty much the heart of the build, so you need to have this. This is going to be amazing for ad clear, for making orbs, and it locks down areas for a pretty long time. Because it lasts a pretty long time on the ground, so this is definitely something you pretty much have to have. Next up, for the dodge, we have the Marksman dodge. I like the Marksman dodge a little better since it has a lower cooldown and the reloads our weapons. You could also go for the Gambler's dodge, it's not that big of an issue. I just happen to like the Marksman better. But both of them work. For our melee, we don't really have a choice, so we got the Snare Bomb. And now for our grenade, we have the Vortex Grenade. I really like the Vortex Grenade since it pulls enemies towards the middle, and it works very well with our super. So our super also pulls enemies towards it, so you could super and then throw a grenade, so they'll get pulled once towards the super and then they'll get pulled towards the grenade, and you pretty much just kill everything with one grenade. It is fantastic, although it does make this very weird thing happen every once in a while where the enemies just shoot up into the sky for no reason. But you know, that's just kind of like a funny interaction. That has nothing to do with the build, I just kind of wanted to mention it. But yeah, the Vortex Grenade works very well with the tether, and just by itself, it's also a fantastic grenade. I definitely recommend it. Next up, moving on to the aspects, we have Chopper's Ambush and Vanishing Step. Vanishing Step is very simple, dodging just makes you invisible. This is like the easy way to become invisible. We always are going to have a dodge, so we're actually going to spend a lot of time invisible. And that's pretty much how we want it. You know, we're just going to be in the background, invisible, ad clearing, and just, you know, kind of staying out of danger. Now Trapper's Ambush is just more invisibility. We can become invisible with our smoke bomb, but this one's more team oriented because we can actually make our teammates invisible with our smoke. So this is really good if you want to just quickly make someone invisible, if you're, you know, maybe picking somebody up and you just want to make sure that they don't just immediately die. You can hit them with the invisibility. So it's just another way to go invisible, but this time, you know, you can actually make your teammates invisible. It's not as selfish in this like the Vanishing Step. Alright, so now let's move on to the fragments. We have Echo Vigilance, Persistence, Starvation, and Obscurity. Echo of Obscurity will give us invisibility after we do a finisher. This is good because we're going to be trying to finish some enemies to get some special ammo for our teammates and for ourselves. So we're going to be finishing more than normal, and with Obscurity making us invisible after every finish, we could really just go crazy with our finishes. Since we don't really have to worry about getting just completely destroyed by enemies after a finisher. You know, in case you like do it in the middle of a crowded room where there's a lot of ads around, you could pretty much just go around and just finish a bunch of things without really worrying about it because the invisibility after the finisher. This is really good. If you guys have never tried this, you'll be surprised like just the amount of like aggressive finishers you can get with it. Next up, we have Starvation, which gives us the power on Void Breach or Orbital Power pickup. And while we're not really making Void Breaches with this build, there is going to be a bunch more of power, so we can quickly get the power that way. And the power just keeps extending after every kill, so we only need the orb for the initial like proc of the power. After that, we don't need to like keep picking up orbs. As long as we keep getting kills, the power will just keep going. And this is like the main way that we're gonna stay alive. You're gonna be pretty good. You're not really gonna be in any like danger of dying, and even if you are, you're immediately gonna get back to full health once you get a couple of like ad kills, or maybe even one. Now next up, we got Persistence. This one will make it so void buffs have an increased duration, so our invisibility, our overshields, and our devour are all just gonna be increased. With this, the power will go up to 15 seconds, so you have like 15 whole seconds to get an ad kill, so you can keep going with your devour. And invisibility also gains a couple more seconds, and that could definitely be the difference between like you dying or staying alive. So I really like Echo Persistence, it's pretty good. It also will increase our overshield buff, which is something we get with Echo Vigilance. When defeating a target while your shields are depleted, it grants you a temporary overshield. So this is pretty much just like something that can like keep you alive in like a desperate moment. You know, when you are really low, your shields are down, and you really want to stay alive, that's when Echo Vigilance really comes through. That overshield it's pretty clutch. It could definitely save you. And the way that overshields work in PVE is that they give you damage reduction. You know, it reduces the damage taken from like ads. So not only do you have this overshield, but you're also taking less damage from ads while you have the overshield. It is pretty great, so that's why I like Echo Vigilance. It pops up pretty often too. So those are the fragments that we're running. They're mostly used about survivability and using our devour and invisibility. Just kind of like staying alive, supporting the team. So that's the fragments we're running. They're mostly about survivability and taking advantage of our devour and invisibility. That's pretty much what we're trying to do with these fragments. But now let's move on to the artifact, and let's see the things that we're running there. For the artifact, the things that we're running are like the solar related things. So like Kindling Trigger, Flint Striker, Heart of Flame, and Race of Precision. Those are the ones that you mostly want to take because our main weapon is going to be an exotic solar weapon. Either the Sunshot or the Polaris. Those are like the main two. So we definitely want to take all of these so we can take advantage of Radiant. Because that's going to be like our main way that we're going to add even more ad clear on top of the ad clear that we already have. Now moving on to the weapons, I definitely would recommend the Riptide. This is not like a must-have part of the build, but I just really like the Riptide. Just make sure it has Choke Clip. This will make it so it's good against the Overload champions, the Unstoppables, and besides that, it's just a good weapon to have. Now for the energy slot, there's two weapons that I like to take. The first one is the Sunshot. This is the one that I take when it's Unstoppables. That's because the hand cannons are Unstoppables. So the Sunshot has Unstoppable hand cannon. It's also really good at ad clear. You know, there's nothing that ad clears like the Sunshot this season. Double explosions, ignitions, burn. It just does it all. Like the Sunshot is just a fantastic weapon. There's a reason that's like one of the most used weapons this season. Now when it's not Unstoppable champions, but actually barrier champions, I like to pull out the Polaris. This thing destroys the barriers thanks to the Radiant. And you also get some pretty nice ad clear with the perfect fit shot, the catalyst, the ignitions, and do some fantastic damage. It is very safe because it's a scout rifle. You can shoot things from like miles away where they can't even shoot you. So Polaris is another fantastic weapon that you can take. I would definitely recommend Polaris more towards the weak side's barrier, and you know, the Sunshot, the Unstoppables. And for the overloads, we're always gonna have a rocket. You know, the rockets are just super cracked this season. My go-to is the Apex. If you guys don't have an Apex, you can go with any other rocket. But man, being like solar Surge all season has made it so I pretty much never have to change my heavy. The Apex is just something else. And I really like this role for GMs. I think it works pretty well there. Having the two explosive light shots just ready to go at all time makes it so champions just disappear. Yeah, it's really good. But like I said, you could go with all the rockets that you like. You could go with a different role for your Apex. You know, the role doesn't really mean a lot to the build, just as long as you have a rocket. For our exotic, we're running the Orpheus Rig. This will give us some super energy back whenever we tether enemies with our tether. And that doesn't mean that we actually have to like kill them. All we have to do is tether them. As long as they hit that tether, even if they just die immediately, we will get that super energy back. It is capped about half our super, but it just giving us have our super immediately makes it so we can just spam our super crazy fast. It really is just insane the amount of supers we can get out there, and you definitely want to spam this super like a group of enemies pretty much every chance you get. So not only are you going to be ad clearing like a monster, you're also going to be giving your teammates lots of orbs so they can like get their super sooner, and so they can spam their super as well, just like you. Okay, maybe not just like you, because you're going to be spamming it like crazy, but you know, just faster. Faster supers. Now for the mods that we're running, first of all, we have Solar Siphon. This is to make some orbs with our Sunshot mostly, but we could even make some with a rocket. We have Heavy Ammo Finder, so we can get just some more heavy. We have Firepower, which makes it so our final blows with a grenade create orbs of power. Our grenade, as long as we throw it right on the net, pretty much guarantees that we always get at least one orb. We also have Solar Loader, so we can reload our weapons faster. Our solar weapons, which should be like our rocket and our either hand cannon or scout. For your chest piece, you know, you have your resistances. This will change depending on like the GM you're running. I have void ones right now, but that's because I was running the one with lots of void. But you can change these to like whatever resistance you need, whatever the threat is in that GM. For our boots, we have Orbs of Restoration, Solar Scavenger, and Recuperation. The Recuperation is gonna make it so we get some health every time we pick up an orb of power. Solar Scavenger just makes it so we pick up more rockets on a rocket, but you know, this should match the rocket if you're not running like a solar rocket. And Orbs of Restoration will give us a bit of energy to our least charged ability. Whether it's our grenade, our dodge, our melee, whatever it is, we're gonna get some of it. Lastly, for our class item, we have Special Finisher, Reaper, and Bomber. Bomber will reduce our grenade cooldown when we use our class ability. Since our class ability is on a pretty low cooldown, and we can use it quite often, Bomber is definitely going to help us get our grenade back. Reaper's gonna make it so we can make some more orbs of power after using our class ability energy. So again, the same, we're going to be spamming our class ability energy, and every time after we use it, when we get a kill, we're going to spawn an orb of power. So we have quite a couple of different ways of making orbs of power, not only to help ourselves, but also to help our teammates. And lastly, we have Special Finisher. Whenever we have some armor charge, whenever we finish an enemy, it makes special ammo for the whole fire team. And those require 3 stacks of armor charge, so essentially like 3 orbs of power. But since we're gonna be making all these orbs of power, and we're really gonna use only the armor charge for our Special Finisher, we're gonna be able to use this thing very often. You're always gonna have special ammo, so you know, just go crazy with the special. And with that, that's everything. That's the build. Now let's get on to talking a little bit about it, why I like it, and you know, just the gameplay loop, even though with this one it's kind of simple. So let's get into it. I really like running this build, especially on GMs where ads are especially problems, or where you can benefit from a lot of people having their supers all the time. That's where this build really shines. But you could run it in any GM and still do pretty damn great. No one's gonna say no to a hunter that likes to spam tether. That's basically how it goes. And the gameplay loop is pretty simple. You get a kill, you grab your orb, and then you just maintain that devour as much as you can. By the time you run out of devour, pretty much all the ads are dead, and you pretty much have to move on to a next area. That's the time that the devour usually like runs out. But you wanna proc your devour, start spamming your grenades, start spamming your smokes, spam your invisibility whenever you can, just to make more orbs, to stay safe, reposition. That's what you want to do. And as soon as you get your super and you see a group of bats, you want to just fire off your super. If there's some champions, even better, because all it has to do is like hit a champion and a couple more ads, and you basically get half your super back, because the higher the enemy, the more like super energy they return. So like hitting a couple of yellow bars is gonna give you some more super energy than just hitting a bunch of red bars. But still, you don't really need to hit that many targets to get like half your super back. So don't be afraid. Just fire off that super every time you see like a group of ads, and you're gonna see that you're gonna be getting many supers out there. You're like usually the person that like has the most orbs created pretty much every GM that you run this with. That's the build. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll leave them link in the description if you guys just want to equip it with them. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know what you guys think, and catch you guys next time. Peace.